Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Sir Thomas More, and we get to hear from Sir Thomas More today in Act 2, Scene 4, and wow, all of that rhymes. But yesterday we were just in Act 2, Scene 2, so a little bit of catch-up that has to happen. The most important things that are happening now is there's riots going on in London. The Londoners are very upset that foreigners from either France or Italy or various places abroad have come to London and are using all the resources and claiming women as their own property, even if the women are married, and that kind of thing. So they're kind of starting a May Day revolt, and they were all charged up to go and burn down the houses of these foreigners in the middle of their rioting. But then they found out that the foreigners had all fled, and they decided, well, maybe we should burn down the town anyway. So Act 2, Scene 3, we're at the mayor's house, or near to the mayor's house, which was kind of under siege in the middle of the riot. And we're there with the mayor and Sir Thomas More and Shrewsbury and Surrey and like that crowd, and they're talking about, you know, this is not good, things are getting really out of hand, we got to go try to like quell this, the king needs to know what's going on, all of this stuff. And Sir Thomas More is like, wait, we just need to go and talk to them, because I'm sure that we can talk them down if we just go talk to them. And they're all like, you're really smart, so let's go do that. And remember, they had wanted him to go and talk to them anyway because he is smart and reasonable and all of that. He was able to get the pickpocket acquitted. So that's basically Act 2, Scene 3 is, hey, let's go, we got to do something about this riot. And Sir Thomas More is like, let's go talk to them. So in Act 2, Scene 4, we're back outside St. Martin's Gate, which is sort of where the majority of the rioting is going on. And we're with Lincoln and Williamson and Dahl and the Bettses and that whole crowd. And Lincoln is riling the crowd up some more, you know, like, what do we want? And we need to get the people out of here. And we need to do this. And how far are you willing to go? And what do we demand from the king? And all of this. So it's kind of a mob scene. And some of the lines are like a little bit shorter, just people yelling things. So you imagine it just being sort of a whirlwind of chaos. But then Shrewsbury and Surrey and More and a bunch of others come in, and the general population that was already there starts saying like, oh my gosh, it's the Earl of Shrewsbury, let him speak. And then another half of them are like, oh my gosh, it's Surrey, let him speak. So you get people chanting for Shrewsbury, you get people chanting for Surrey, you get people shouting, you know, peace, peace, basically just everybody shut up so we can hear what's going on. And Sir Thomas More says a couple of words, and then a couple of other people start chanting for More to be able to say something, and there's all of this shouting back and forth, trying to figure out who everybody should listen to. And Sir Thomas More is able to sort of grab onto that and say like, look, all of you are shouting for peace, which destroys the peace. So it's nice that you want to be here and voicing your opinions and airing your complaints and all those sorts of things, but what you're doing is destroying the thing that you're asking for by doing the asking of it in the way that you're doing the asking of it. So let's have a chat about that. And I believe it's Dahl Williamson is like, hey, he sounds really smart, let's listen to him. And he's like, okay, so what is it that you all actually want from this, aside from just all of the shouting? What do you actually want? And they're like, well, we want the foreigners removed from our town, from our country. And Sir Thomas More says, grant them removed, and grant that this your noise hath chid down all the majesty of England. Imagine that you see the wretched strangers, their babies at their backs and their poor luggage, plotting tooth ports and costs for transportation, and that you sit as kings in your desires, authority quite silent by your brawl, and you in ruff of your opinions clothed. What have you got? I'll tell you. You have taught how insolence and strong hand should prevail, how order should be quelled, and by this pattern, not one of you should live an aged man. For other ruffians, as their fancies wrought, with self-same hand, self-reasons, and self-right, would shark on you, and men like ravenous fishes would feed on one another. So I don't know if anybody else out there is the big Doctor Who fan that I am, but there's an episode with Peter Capaldi, and it comes down to two sides. Each has a button in a box that has a 50-50 chance of starting a war, and he turns to the one who really wants to start a war as opposed to the one that's angling a little bit more for peace, or at least being on the defense as opposed to the offense. And he's like, okay, so this year rebellion, once you've won, then what? What does your society look like? And how are you going to deal with the next rebellion that comes along? And that's basically what Sir Thomas More is saying here. He's like, okay, so you get what you want. We get the foreigners out of here. And okay, you being nice and loud is what gets them out of here, what chases them away. What have you done? You've only taught that the only way to enact change is to be loud and violent. So somebody else is going to come and be loud and violent towards you. And the people are like, oh, he kind of has a point. But of course, since this is the sort of play that it is, I'm not necessarily going to say it's a Shakespearean play because it's part of the Apocrypha, but this being the sort of play that it is, Sir Thomas More isn't finished speaking yet, so we'll get to hear like the next part of his quelling of the crazy mob of Londoners who really don't like immigrants. But we'll get to hear more from Sir Thomas More tomorrow. Huh? You see what I did there? I'll see you then. Mwah.